We rolling? Good? All right. Let's go, Todd. Sit your ass down.
Go, baby. Don't leave me hanging.
Yeah, my bad. Trying to get my drink of coffee, bro.
It's earlier than you've been up all year, huh?
Shit. I'm up at the ass crack of dawn. Everybody knows me, knows that. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into off-season or the off-season podcast. Really haven't decided on exactly what we're going to call it, but to give you guys kind of a backstory on everything right here. So as you've seen other off-season videos, it's been more of a one-on-one interview with somebody coming in, sitting down, kind of like a Joe Rogan podcast or whatever you want to call it. But I've come to realize that I'm not Joe Rogan, and I'd rather have someone here to talk with every day rather than try to schedule guests each and every week, which this show will have guests. We actually have a great show lined up for you guys here today. We're going to talk about college football, NFL. We got some other sports news to talk about, stuff that's going on in our lives and different things like that. And we also have a 15 to 20-minute interview with recruiting coordinator and tight ends coach, University of Kentucky, Big Dog Vince Marrow. Really good interview. So I'm really looking forward to that for people to hear that. But then after that, we'll get into coming up this weekend of college football, the NFL, and, basically anything and everything. Like, we have an agenda to stick by, but the more you watch, us talk, you could see that, we really go off agenda pretty easily. So we had an interview last week with one of the Backstreet Boys, Kevin Richardson, Kentucky native, came down, sat in here for us for about an hour or so, and really dove deep into, his life and how he came about to be part of the Backstreet Boys and, their rise to fame and different things like that, and him growing up in Kentucky. We also talked about the Kentucky football game leading up to Florida, and so obviously we already know that game came and gone. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, but it's still a good interview. So we'll get that out for you guys here as soon as we can, and hopefully we'll have this episode dropping Friday morning, Friday afternoon. So it's Thursday right now. We're putting a lot of pressure on our producer / best friend Brandon Arve to get this out. So hopefully we'll be more productive moving forward. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. This is something that I've been wanting to do, ever since I got out of college, because really I didn't have a plan B coming out of school. So like my whole plan and everything like that was to try to play football as long as I could, but wasn't good enough for that to make that happen. And now we're here. So I've been trying to figure it out the last 3 years. We might as well call this fucking podcast Figuring It Out. But
hey, entrepreneurship's tough, man.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
I knew I wasn't going to the league in anything, and it's still it's a grind, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes the wins worth it. I swing for the fence and 90% of the time get struck out at the plate. Can't speak. But
at least
that's the name of the game.
You were in the batter's box though.
Well, sometimes
taking hacks. I mean, a lot of people are scared to step into the batter's box. So you never know what life's going to throw at you. But anyways, welcome to the worst podcast you will ever listen in your fucking life, and it begins right now.
I just dribbled coffee onto my nipple.
That's how you bring it back in from an intro, right?
It's a good start.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, it's been a great couple weeks here early in college football season. We've seen some great upsets. We've seen some great games. Obviously, week one, probably my favorite game of the week was the backyard brawl. I still think about this game, and even though we're going to week 3, I still think about that West Virginia Pitt game. And how exciting it was for the opening weekend of college football to come back in that way and it be a barn burner the way it was. And then you have so many other teams across the nation that just got beat by a team that they obviously shouldn't have gotten beat by. You look at Marshall last week going up against Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman up there and in what's the town in Indiana and Notre Dame called? South Bend.
South Bend. There you go.
South Bend, Indiana. One thing I wanted to ask you. So you've been in this game for a while. I'm just now figuring out this game.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the biggest hurdle or obstacle that you've had to overcome?
Trying to be somebody I'm not. I've tried, I get on the radio. I tried to talk in a more,
broadcasting voice.
Yeah, tone. And that's just not who I am. I don't want to be a color commentator. I don't want to call games. Would that be a blast and, an unbelievable experience and to get to work alongside some of those talented, I'm great friends with people like like Tom Hart calls basketball games for Kentucky all the time. I'm really good friends with Tom. I'm not envious of his job because he's always on, right? He's always got to be on. He's always Tom Hart, whether he's on the air or not. But would his job be fantastic and awesome to do? Absolutely. But you got to be so aware and on top of things to be able to fill gaps, fill voids in conversation, right? Like, we're going to struggle to do that on a podcast where we can cut it. Yeah. He's on live television, and he's got to have stories about these guys. He's got to have background knowledge. He's got to be, intellectual about this, the schematics that a team's running and why they're doing that, and be able to fill those. Like, it's got to be an entertaining broadcast. And those guys are unbelievably talented to be able to do that the way that they can. So I've sought advice from guys like him and others in his position. People are over the top helpful if you ask.
Right.
So I'd say those kind of two things. One, I tried to be somebody that I wasn't when I first went on the air. For ESPN Radio doing college basketball, and for clarity's sake, I was doing pregame and postgame show, which I still do. And then that kind of developed into podcast as well, but trying to play a role that I wasn't comfortable in. So I realized, like, it's okay to stumble on your words. It's okay to pause and think. It doesn't sound as fake as you believe in your head that it does.
Yeah.
And it's genuine. People know they're getting a genuine reaction. It's like in post games where we've had a shocking loss, like for instance, when we lost in the tournament, first round of the tournament this past year, I had no idea what I was going to say on the radio. What am I supposed to go on there and be like, Cal messed up? The guys weren't prepared. Like, nobody, I don't know the answers either. I'm just giving my opinion. And I convey what I saw. And so learning to, kind of settle into what I was confident in was a big hurdle. And I got past it. And then, the other side is just kind of saying what you don't want to find yourself going down a road that you're uncomfortable in. So it's okay to say that you don't know. I got asked, what would you have done different in this situation if you're Cal? Well, I'm not a Hall of Fame basketball coach, so I can only answer based off the information that I have and what I saw.
Right.
So you say things like, well, we're not in that locker room. We don't know, in that moment, things are different. Like, we don't know what's been practiced. We didn't know the status of somebody's injury. Like, Kellen Grady at the time of that game had been playing hurt for a month. Like, they know things that we don't. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. So just kind of learning to stay in my lane was the biggest thing. And everybody's an armchair quarterback. People are going to listen to this podcast just like they're going to listen to Tom Hart on TV, and they're all going to have something to say. That's okay. Like, again, we're just giving our opinion to the best of our knowledge. I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm right. I'm not telling you that it's fact. I'm giving you my opinion. And when you kind of learn to accept that, then the criticism isn't as harsh.
I'd say that's probably been the biggest hurdle that I'm trying to overcome right now is, being true to myself in all situations, and not accommodate for people's feelings of how I am. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm some redneck from East Kentucky, dude. Like, I grew up, and I was sitting there thinking about it the other day. Like, actually, I was in a tree stand. I was sitting there thinking about this. I was like, dude, this is what you did growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't try to overstep. Don't try to get in a different lane that you have no idea about. And I've stepped into different lanes, thinking that I could say whatever I wanted to say just because, that's how social media is now today. Like, you can just say whatever you want with, no repercussions. But now,
not you,
not us.
No, I mean, it truly is a challenge that these current student athletes haven't necessarily had to face. It's social media started growing into what it is now.
Yeah.
When I was in school, you had to deal with it a little bit more. Guys these days, though, you got people going back and reading tweets from when we were in elementary school, like literally from like the 2000s, that are getting people in trouble. And like, that's just a challenge that we didn't know was going to exist, right? It's morphed into this like constantly updated online resume of everybody that has a status that's worth looking into. So these current student athletes are constantly under a microscope, and it's a challenge to, ask a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid to learn how to behave in a way that everyone's going to get to see when they're on this stage, when they put on that blue and white uniform or whatever color uniform. And it's not just student athletes. It's obviously people that are going into professional careers at a young age as well. It's a new, unique challenge. And learning that and how to adapt to it is something that I think we need to start being able to prepare these guys for. And I think NIL is going to teach a lot of those lessons as well. Like you said yourself, we're getting into a world, once you graduate, you get a job, you answer to the people that are paying you money, right? Ultimately.
Yep.
Now you got college athletes with the NIL that are answering to people that are paying them money, which means if somebody's got an endorsement deal with them and they're paying them X amount of dollars and they do something that they think is a negative reflection on their brand, it's going to hit their pockets. And learning that curve, that learning curve is going to get really, really sharp.
Yeah.
So, I think things like this, us being able to talk freely about it, in a way that's organic and real is going to be very translatable to what a lot of these current student athletes are going to, that maybe you and I didn't have to face as harshly. Yeah. But to your point, like, now it's a very real thing that, you and I could go out once we were 21, we could go out to a bar in Lexington and legally drink, but we couldn't drink or behave like regular students could.
Yeah. There's a big target.
Yeah.
Right there on your back. Big bullseye target. Cause there's going to be some guy in there. And I've had this experience before to where, like, there's one guy that, feel like he got cheated in high school or, didn't get a good shot or maybe they just really just genuinely don't like you for some fucking reason. You never met this person in your life and they come up and they start talking shit to you and they're trying to get that reaction because they know if you react and you end up smashing a fucking William Tar bottle over their fucking head, then it's not going to be good news for you, but it's all going to be good news for them.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's something that comes with the territory. You just have to, you have to understand that you got to be bigger than the moment a lot of times.
That was my problem because like I said, growing up, if someone's talked shit or came at you in a sideways manner, you were going to get dealt with in a sideways manner. And so it's hard for me to turn that side off.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's where I'm like, and I've had this conversation with sports psychologists when I was in school, different therapists, different things like that. And by the way, it's not a fucking big deal for guys to, open up and talk to people,
No.
For me, like, therapy has been, a big help for me and, finding out who I am true as a person. And, almost like this stuff right here is almost like therapy as well, just sitting here and talking when having a genuine conversation.
Yeah.
But as a defensive player and as a linebacker, you're taught to react off everything. So, like, the offense already knows where they're going. They got their playbook set up. They know that a receiver's supposed to break it down at 7 yards, turn it in. They're supposed to, fly down the field, turn a post into a post corner, or, basically they know exactly where they're going. Defensive dudes, we're guessing, and we don't know. So we're having to react on the fly. Okay, this coverage matches up with this look they're giving us. Okay, well, they got a tight split in the boundary with the receiver, kind of tucked in. They have a, 4 strong with the back kind of flared out past the tackle. You're kind of playing process of elimination, but then you have to react off of it. And so, like, one of my therapists was telling me that you're so prone and primed as a reactor that translates over to your personal life. To where, like, if something that you're not expecting happens, you react.
Yeah.
And my thing has been, trying to, the count to 10 or count to 3, type shit before I say or speak my mind on something or deal with somebody in that nature. Just because at the end of the day, like you said, if you get in that kind of situation, it's a losing situation for you.
No matter what.
Yeah. I mean, and you could have all the right reasons in the world to, pummel that motherfucker. But from public perspective view, it's always a lose-lose situation.
Yeah. Well, I've just always looked at, first off, I try to treat everybody the way that I would want to be treated. And, sometimes there's going to be a drunk idiot make a comment and you just have to say, okay.
All right, bub.
And you keep it moving. And, I get it a lot with like pickup basketball. If I go to a gym and play pickup basketball, it happens less now because I'm older, but my first couple years out of UK, everybody that was playing against me in a pickup game thought that they should have had the opportunity that I did. And so they'd make, you weren't good enough to be on the team. Like you played for UK or whatever. And my answer is always the same. I was very fortunate. I was lucky. Right place,
Same.
right time. A lot of hard work, but a lot of luck too.
Same.
And that's, when you react that way, like if it takes a very insecure person to keep running their mouth to somebody that's, genuinely saying I was lucky that I got that opportunity and I made the most of it. And, it is what it is.
And it kind of translates back to, me not really liking social media no more. One, like social media back when I was in school is 10 times different than what social media is today.
Yeah.
I'm not good at the social media today.
Yeah.
Like I'm really not. So
it's like you said though, it's morphed. It was such a platform to be used for positivity, and we know the direction that it's gone, and that's okay. But it makes it difficult to be in a position like we are, because I genuinely, like, if I tweet like that was a bad call, like when I'm watching a football game or something, I'm not looking to entice people that have a disagreement with that think it was a good call. I'm not looking for somebody to break down the rules to me. I'm expressing it the same way that I would if I'm sitting on the couch next to all my followers and I say that was a bad call. Like, I'm not trying to start an argument. You can have a difference of opinion. It's the same thing with politics, and I certainly don't want to go down that road. But we
will not talk politics on this.
Never. But I'm saying I can sit next to somebody that I disagree with entirely, and I'm very much not in one lane or the other. I can sit next to somebody that has a difference of opinion, and it's the same to me as if you order a steak and I order fish at dinner. I'm going to have a conversation with you. I want to know what you think and why. There's no reason to have an argument about it, but it just seems like social media has turned into this like constant badgering of people's opinions and the way that they present themselves. And like I said, it's really just a constant ongoing resume. And I don't know why you would put out negativity in that light. Like, I'm all about building people up. And
but that's my thing too. Like now, like when it comes to anything that I do on there, like used to, I would tweet something because I thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see how people could see that as derogatory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm no longer going to express my thoughts of opinions on things that I don't have 100% known knowledge of.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. The biggest backlash I got on Twitter, and again, it was in a playful, joking manner, but most people that follow me don't know me, so they don't know that I meant it to be funny. But we were playing Mississippi State, and I had been graduated already, and I don't remember if it was basketball or football, but we were at Mississippi State, and I made a comment about the Cowbells and Starkville sucking, and it was just a playful joke, right? And I'm joking. They definitely know I was joking, but I started getting responses like, "There's a lot of hardworking people here and stuff," and it really made me sit back and think, like, I meant it as a playful banter between sports fans, but if that's how it's going to be taken, then I need to be more conscious of the way that I say things. So we're going to say things on this show that are very clearly a stab, like a jab at a team or a fan base or whatever, and that's okay. But understand that that's all it is, right?
Yeah, it's a joking jab.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, for example, we were talking about Notre Dame and Marshall coming in there and just absolutely waxing their ass. Like my buddy Mike. I've known Mike ever since I got to college. He didn't play football. He was he got introduced to me as Drake Jackson's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's what I thought they were all the way up until literally about 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "No, we're not actually related. We're just like really close family friends." I'm like, how in the fuck does that happen? And why did you tell me you guys were cousins? But it's crazy. he's a Notre Dame fan, and I always give him shit about being a Notre Dame fan. He gives me shit about being a Packers fan. He's a Bears fan, and it's all in good fun. And so like whenever he like and he'll do shit on purpose to like know that it like I'll have some kind of joke to say about it. Like he has this Notre Dame hat. It's white and it's the most like douchebag looking hat you've ever seen. All white, and then like half of the fucking like the skull of it down to the brim is just the Fighting Irish logo.
Oh, I know,
and it's coming like that right there.
I've seen
that. I've seen that. Like we'll go out and golf sometimes. And he'll wear it because he knows that I'll have something to say about it, because at the end of the day, he knows he's going to laugh about it because he can give me shit about something else. And I think that's a thing that people have gotten away from, is that people take things so personal now. Yeah. Like, giving people shit when you're growing up, especially if you're a dude, like, that's how like me and my friends today, like if somebody that isn't used to that kind of conversation, and they would come in and hang out with me and my buddies for a day, they'd be like, why do you guys hate each other?
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, no, we don't hate each other. We actually fucking love each other.
Yeah.
Like we would go to fucking war for any of these guys. But it's just like, you just throw little joking jabs in there that, that it doesn't do any harm. But nowadays it's just like everybody takes so many
like
things.
When I asked you if you wanted a medium polo the other day.
Yeah. I probably say, yeah, I do. I want a medium. I want the sleeves to be small, and I want the torso to be medium. So yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, man, it's like you have to laugh at yourself too.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
You got to be able to have the ability to, make fun of yourself, laugh at yourself, because if you don't and you take yourself too serious, which I've been guilty of, taking myself too serious and taking really like life too serious at the same time, you miss out on so much joy.
Yeah.
That, that if you would just be a little more open, you would be a little less, what's the word I'm looking for? You're being a little less more protective, I guess, in a way. But at the same time, you're wanting to establish that connection with your friends that nobody else really understands.
Yeah.
Because like those inside jokes, those inside jabs that you take. But, it's just something that I think that, hopefully, moving down the line with social media, I don't see it getting any better, to be quite honest with you. I can only see it getting worse. Like the other day, like when we beat Florida, and we're actually about to get into the Florida game. I know we're getting off topic here. And when they won, I tweeted, "Let's fucking go." Well, I didn't say "Let's fucking go," LFG. Let's fucking go. Burn it down, Lexington. And everybody in their fucking brother should know that burn it down means go out and fucking have a great time.
Yeah.
Like go out and, celebrate, be with your friends, meet new people.
Light a couch on fire.
Maybe.
Let's
start our own tradition.
I'm saying let's talk to Slacks or something. Let's get like a big fire pit built.
Shout out Susan Lax.
Yes, let's get a big fire pit built around Commonwealth Stadium. I'm still calling it Commonwealth Stadium. Sorry,
it's always Commonwealth.
But build a big fire pit out there, and right.
Yeah, we got to recap.
And we're going to toss.
We're going to toss
the coach.
Well, we're going to recap Florida. We'll briefly get into Youngstown State. Then we'll go to the interview. Then we'll come back and we'll break down the Youngstown State game of what they got to do, what the keys to victory are, and how do they avoid. See, here's the thing about Kentucky, and this has been ever since I was a player, ever since I've been gone for the last 3 years, and even before. It seems like that when we play inferior opponents, we always play down to their competition.
Mm-hmm.
Vaguely remember, well, we got beat by Southern Miss my freshman year.
Yep. We talk about that in the Kevin episode.
Yeah. And then later that year, the game before Louisville, we play Austin Peay. Austin Peay was my first offer out of high school. So we were down 14-0 at halftime to an OVC team that has not won a fucking game in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there thinking, dude, what in the fuck is this? Like, Coach Stoops is going to get fired because of this. If we lose this game, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way they keep him after this. And a big shout out to Eli Capilouto, Mitch Barnhart, and everybody in the athletic department for not giving up on Stoops.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've seen the product that has been bestowed upon you now.
Yeah.
most career wins in UK history, past the great Paul Bear Bryant, and multiple bowl victories, multiple first-round draft picks, the brand of Kentucky football. I'm not going to lie to you, Toddler, it's up there with Kentucky basketball.
It is, and we're going to get into that a little bit more with Vince.
But anyways, so breaking it down into an inferior opponents with coming up with Youngstown State, let's go ahead and dive into the Florida matchup we saw this past weekend. Obviously, probably one of the most electric atmospheres that you can see through the television screen. And from a guy who's played in the Swamp, let me tell you, it is one of the most hostile environments that you can play in. And it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, at that time, like, especially with, the defense that we had, the coaches that we had, it felt like we just thrived off chaos.
Did you talking about when you were there?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Swamp in general.
Yeah. So first off, I agree, and even the basketball arena there is the same way. They're right on top of you. You can reach back and
literally, like, so
right
you're
here.
sitting on the bench, like they're right here at the fireplace.
The wall's right here in basketball. Yeah. It's bizarre. But did you, just in general, not necessarily specifically to Florida, but in general, did you enjoy playing on the road more than at home?
Absolutely.
Because
I loved it.
Just thrive.
I loved being the bad guy.
Yeah. Thrive in chaos.
Like, whenever we played cops and robbers as a kid, I was always the robber.
Yep.
And at that point in time, like, with the attitude that I had, with playing on the field, it wasn't me. And I know this may sound crazy for some people that don't understand it, but
you had to get into character.
I had to get into character almost. Yeah. And what that did for me was give me confidence to go out and, be somebody that I'm not off the field for 2.5, 3 hours and just act a fucking fool.
Mm-hmm.
Just go out there, scream, fucking let everything
especially
loose.
In your position, that's something that's almost required to be successful.
Oh, and it's the most passionate sport. Like, you have to have emotion. But it's the most emotional sport I think there is around, because you've got so many guys that's counting on you. There's 11 battles going on involved in one war. And those other 10 guys are depending on you to win your battle, and you're depending on those other 10 guys to win their battle. So you have to have an emotional connection to it to not only survive out there, but to fucking thrive. Now, some guys, they can be the same person on and off the field as far as, being calm, cool, collective. And for guys that can do that, I have the utmost respect for people that can do that. But for me, it wasn't the case. Like, I had to turn into a fucking basket case. Yeah. Which I may be a basket case off the field too, but
it's kind of ironic that you bring that up, and I don't want to get deterred either, but just to your point real quick. Most of our kind of generation is going to know, Peyton Manning for what we see him as outward facing. Like, now that he's doing the Monday Night Football stuff with his brother, and he's in, all these commercials and things, you see like this funny, goofy side of him. What's the insurance commercial he's in?
Affleck? No, that's Dion.
And I can't remember.
I know he's with Lincoln though.
Yeah, but he's got a bunch of different advertisements and endorsements now, and he's a very goofy, funny, laughable person. But if for those of you that are older than me, you'll remember when Peyton was at the height of his career with the Colts, or approaching the height of his career with the Colts, he had no marketing deals because everybody thought he was an asshole. Because he would bark orders from under center to, the line and all the position players and everything. And he sounded mean. He sounded like he's chewing them out because he's literally barking orders at the line of scrimmage, right? And, I mean, this from being, around the game for that long. Like, that's what's required to play that position. You have to be demanding and controlling and, tell people what to do. But the public perception, was, because of what they hear on television and things, was that he's just this controlling, demeaning asshole. And I remember the ad campaign with Saturday Night Live when they brought him on Saturday Night Live, and they made fun of that by having him talk shit to kids and peg them with a ball and that kind of stuff. The entire reason, shout out to his management team, but the entire reason that they did that skit was to mock the fact that everybody thought he was an asshole and show who he really is. And that's what made him. He's made more money off the field now, aside from commentating, which is a whole nother avenue of income for him. But he's made more money off the field in endorsement and marketing deals than he made playing football. And it's purely because they were able to show that side of his personality. So pivot a little bit back to this conversation. That's what I love so much about the NIL. It's not only are the kids going to get to make some money in college. That's great. It's help them take a girlfriend out on a date or or get them a vehicle or take care of their family, whatever they need to do. Because most of them aren't going to make millions. They're going to make some money.
Yeah, that must be nice.
No kidding. But they're going to make some money while they're in school. But two things that really matter to me is the public is going to get to see more of their personalities and see who they really are, because you're not just who you showcase on Saturdays with you, right? And you're not just who you see when you're in competition. So they're going to get to see more of that side of those kids, and the kids are going to get to show more of that side of themselves. And then also, more importantly than the money while they're young, is teaching them business prowess and how to go about building themselves up and marketing themselves and holding themselves accountable, because if you don't do your job, you don't get paid. So they're going to learn those kind of things that we were robbed of. Like, we weren't able to do internships, we weren't able to have jobs. Athletics demanded everything out of us and then some. And so now this kind of other arm allows them to, again, be outward facing, be public, get to build and develop the relationships that we weren't able to have. And, I hope that they don't take that for granted, because it's something that's going to set them up to be so successful in the future. So anyway, that's my soapbox. Let's pivot back to Florida.
Yeah,
the
let's
swamp
pivot back to Florida.
Is animalistic.
Gator chomps everywhere, hot, humid, hostile. It is a place that really embodies SEC football, in my opinion. I mean, that's what you dream of as a kid. That's what you dream of not only as a kid, but as a football player in general, as you're growing up and wanting to play in those kind of environments. And so they went down there this week, I believe, and Coach Marrow will talk about it here, more of an interview here once we get it going, with just the biggest chip on their shoulder, because, one, they didn't get enough respect from the national media. Roman Harper from the SEC Network called Kentucky soft. And here's the thing. I would rather be called almost anything else than soft, especially if I'm in that position going there and play that week.
Mm-hmm.
You call me soft or my team soft, like, that's bulletin board material. Now, granted, Roman Harper knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to drive views to the SEC Network. He's trying to drive, views to himself. And at the end of the day, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah.
So he knew what he was doing. So shout out to you, Roman. You know what you're doing, brother. But they went down there on a mission. And people would ask me, it was like, what was it feeling like down there in 18? And, when I watched that game, it reminded me a lot of 18.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could almost have the guess that, we went down there with this attitude of, we're not coming home without a win. And I know that's not like literally,
but
like,
translate,
we're not going to come home. Like, we're going to come home.
But to your point, it that attitude translated onto the field, not only in 18, but on Saturday night as well. And
it's because you got so many guys in that team that have so many similar qualities that the guys in 18 had. You got a guy like Will Levis, who, in my opinion, like, I got to sit down with him last year and interview him for my show that I had that was on fucking WLAP at 6 a.m. So I'm sure so many people listen to that. And the time that I sat down there with him, the dude was just fucking locked in. Just like, I never seen anything about it. And I'm sitting there thinking, dude, I would have killed to have played with a guy like you.
Yeah.
Because that was the same attitude I had on defense. You have that on offense, I have that on defense. Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Watch the fuck out. But you could, and we talk about it with Coach Marrow here too. Those guys, I feel like, could literally go out there and run practice by themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's a leader in every position room, and that's exactly what you need. You need a player-led team. You don't need a coach that's got to pry everybody to go out and give everything they got every day in practice, give everything they got in the weight room, give everything they got in the film room. It just comes natural, and that's what's expected now. And we talk about the culture change. That's exactly what you're seeing come to fruition is, when Coach Stoops first got here, and whenever he did, what was it, 2012, 2011, something like that?
2012.
Dude, Kentucky football was a fucking joke. We were literally, we were Vandy.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Vandy. We were Vandy. We were literally the worst team in the SEC. Hands down, year in, year out. We actually got beat by Vandy multiple times during that time period.
Mm-hmm.
So now, once I got into school and once other classes came in, you just started to see this diabolical change that kept on happening. And then once we went down there in 18 and beat Florida, it kind of rode on. And now that's what's expected. So when they went down there and beat them this year, it wasn't a thing of, oh, I'm surprised. It was more of, we're supposed to fucking do that.
First off, I'll say this, then let's let Vince do his thing, and then we'll recap all that he says. But the biggest thing for me, and this is through all sports and life in general, but, if in school, if you didn't study for an exam, right, then you would go into the exam room the next morning, into the classroom to take this test, and you're nervous, you're second guessing yourself, like, all those things, right? Those emotions come up, and don't make that face at me. Those emotions come up.
You don't
and
know what I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, let me finish this. So if you're unprepared, then you start having these second guessing thoughts or anxiety and emotions that you're not used to feeling. Translate that to sports. They put in the work every day, right? Vince says in this interview, I'm not going to steal the quote, but you'll when we play it, they'll know what I'm talking about. They put in the preparation day in and day out. And then so you go into a game like Saturday and you have the utmost confidence in yourself. You don't have to second guess or question. And that translated onto the field. It translated onto the screen from what we were seeing, as spectators. And that's why they won that game. They didn't squeak by. They won that game. They won those 11 individual battles. And, that's because of the prep work and dedication. That's the summer workouts. That's the extra conditioning. That's the eating right. That's the getting on a good sleep schedule, drinking enough water, getting your work in the weight room, putting that extra time in the film room. All those things give you that confidence and cohesiveness that I know you got my back. I've got yours. We put in the groundwork. Let's go out there and just show the world what we got. And that is what makes this team where they are now. And that's culture started with your all's groups.
And to give credit to where credit's due, it really started with the guys that came before us. And if you look back at some of the stupid shit that I've said in the media, I remember it was senior day, and we played Middle Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
It was cold. It was a noon game. And we had just came off of a 2-game losing streak to Georgia and Tennessee. Now, granted, the Georgia game they're Georgia. I mean, let's just put it that way. They're fucking Georgia. They won the SEC championship that year. But then we go down to lose to a Tennessee team that we were not supposed to lose to.
Mm-hmm.
Completely overlooked them, and got our asses kicked. And so when we came up to back to Lexington and played Middle Tennessee State before we went and played Louisville for the final game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 40,000, like maybe 35,000 people were there.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even coming close to being sold out. And that pissed me off because the guys that I played with at that time that were seniors, those are the guys that really started this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they asked me about it, I was like, you know what? I said I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Because these are the guys that had that mind shift change of, we're not taking this shit no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is going to change today.
Yeah.
And, they, at the time, I felt like they were disrespected. Now, they didn't finish the full fucking interview. Of course they didn't. They just put out a fucking snippet.
Yeah.
And I said, now, if there was some reason you couldn't come because, you couldn't get here from a ride or, you just couldn't afford to come here at the time. Like, I know times are tough for a lot of people, so we understand that. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, but if you're like a season ticket holder or a true blue fan, you should have been here to support these guys. And I got a lot of fucking backlash on that. That's when a lot of people from the Big Blue Nation actually kind of wrote me off. But
I remember that time though. And if you want to be there to celebrate the wins, we as athletes, we want your support when we're struggling, and so there's a lot of emotion that goes into being an athlete in general, and especially at the collegiate level, where your reward is to play in front of that group of people. You're not getting a paycheck, right? And don't give me you're getting paid for school or you're getting paid to go through school. Don't give me that. You put in all this time, effort, and energy with the goal being to showcase your talents on Saturday for football specifically. And, you want, that's what you work for. That's what you come to Kentucky for. You come to the SEC to play in those types of environments. So,
right.
We know that, when you're 6 a.m. workouts in a gym by yourself with your headphones in and you're, hyping yourself up for a set, you're thinking about that moment. You're thinking about thinking about running out of that tunnel on Saturday, in prime time with the bright lights shining down and a full stadium. You're not thinking about getting, putting all that work in and running out and there's, trickles of people in the upper deck. And so, I understand, trust me, I get the fair weather fan mindset. Like if it's freezing cold and you're playing a team that's going to stomp you or you're playing a no-name game and you're not that good, it's tough to get excited to get out there and do it, right? But like you put all that work and energy in for that moment, and you just you want to be able to make the most of it.
But now, as a fan, though, like now that I've been going to games for the last 2 years as a fan, I want to tailgate as much as I fucking can, dude. Yeah. I don't give a fuck who we're playing. I'm tailgating my ass off. So.
Speaking of which, we'll be out there real early Saturday morning if y'all want to come by and have a deer breakfast
steak,
taco, deer steak breakfast tacos.
Deer steak and eggs. You're doing pancakes?
Pancakes, hash browns. My hash browns are dumb. Dumb.
Anyways, Cats went down there and won 26-16. It was a great performance all around. It kind of started out slow a little bit from I think the Gators went up 3-0 early, and then we came back and Will Levis delivered a 60-some-yard bomb to the Great Dane Key.
Mm-hmm.
True freshman, right out of here in Lexington, Kentucky, man. He's an unbelievable athlete, and, there's going to be a lot of great plays looking forward for him to come. But then you had that defensive performance. You had Jordan Wright with a one-handed pick to get us down there in the red zone. You had Deidron Smith. That was beautiful, the way that he sat right there on that route.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Coach White has put in so much emphasis that week on knowing your assignment, sticking to your assignment, and going to help somebody else whenever your battle's won.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to see that defensive performance that they put on down there, man, it was absolutely beautiful. So big shout out to Big Brad White. Dude, Coach White's been in the fucking weight room lately.
Oh, really?
Dude, I went up to him. I was down the sideline before week 1.
Yeah.
And he walked past me. I go, damn, dude. I said, you look like you've been in the weight room a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get on your program.
There
I was
you
like,
go.
shit, man.
There you
We have to
go.
get one in sometime. But, another great performance down there by our running backs. I think our tight ends is probably one of the deepest rooms that we have. Coach Marrow will talk about that in our interview.
Yeah.
Even our linebacking core, being able to rotate guys in with Jaquez and DeAndre, that the privilege that we didn't have, when I was there, being able to have fresh legs throughout the rest of the game. The defensive line being able to rotate. Like I said, you got multiple tight ends that you could put in your hand in the dirt. You could put them in back there in the backfield. You could spread them out in the slot. And there's so many different weapons that Kentucky's been able to use. And a lot of people going into that game were saying, oh, we're kind of worried because, we only ran it for 50 yards against a MAC opponent. I was like, well, here's the thing. Is that, Florida played a top 10 ranked opponent week 1 in Utah, and they had to throw out every fucking card that they had to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
We played an inferior opponent and only ran maybe even a third of our playbook. So
we didn't want to showcase.
No, there's so many things down there and that we didn't show on week 1 that we obviously came down in week 2 and just surprised a lot of people with. Cavassier Smoke had a great game.
Unbelievable
back
game.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, he bounced a couple that I thought were, there were some times where I was like, okay, that hole's gommed up. He's going to have to get him.
Well, the offensive line had a pretty tough pretty tough first half, and that's one thing I think is a good, unbelievable testament of any team of any sport. If you're able to go make adjustments at halftime, and they came back out in the second half and protected the shit out of Will, and created holes for Cavassier.
And the thing about it is, too, this is a whole new offensive line. Like we've had the brand of the Big Blue Wall for the last 3-4 years because those dudes were always used to playing with each other on the same line. A lot of them were in the same class. A lot of them came in together. And so now you got guys that, have been here for some of those teams, but may not have played that much and may not have played with each other that much. And they've only had, a spring practice and, 3 weeks in camp to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and this is why I'm a big advocate. And I'm really hoping it gets to the point of this to where colleges are allowed to have inter-squad practices with different colleges around in their state.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a great look for Kentucky to practice against somebody like EKU or Western. Or hell, maybe even Ohio State or out there Columbus. Who gives a shit? Go up there and make a weekend out of it. And see different looks, see different twists, see different calls, see different, people rather than your own teammates. Because subconsciously, you could sit there for a 3-week camp and be able to know exactly what your defense is going to be running because of the alignment of the corner, the alignment of the linebacker. If he's on his tippy toes, it's going to be a blitz, this or that. And just being able to have that different look, I think, will give you a better preparation to go out in week 1 or throughout the rest of the year and know that, you're going to get different looks, week in and week out, depending on what you do on film.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be a great opportunity for a lot of kids to go out and, really get that preparation down packed, almost like it's a preseason almost.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be really cool. But, defense shined out. Offense played great. Looking forward to another great game this weekend against Youngstown State. This is going to be good because a lot of people may know this. A lot of people may not know this. Kentucky might as well be like a funnel for Youngstown talent, whether it be coaches, whether it be players, anything. So many guys that I play, Courtney Love, Lynn Bowden, Jordan Jones, all from Youngstown. Coach Marrow, Mark Stoops, Mike Stoops, Buff, all from Youngstown. So you'll hear in this interview the kind of the commonalities between Youngstown and like somewhere where I'm from in East Kentucky. So let's take it over to Vince Marrow, this week's interview. And like I said, we'll come back here after the interview, and we'll wrap it up with predictions and some other news and sports. And yeah, so enjoy our interview with the big dog himself, Vince Marrow. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, a guy that has been here for the complete culture change of Kentucky football. A man that definitely has the gift of gab when it comes to talking with anybody, especially in recruiting. A guy that without him being here and with his skills not only as a tight ends coach, but a great recruiter around the country, you wouldn't see the change in Kentucky football, and we would not see the change we have today. None other than the big dog himself, Vince Marrow. Big dog, appreciate you, man.
My man, Kash, it's always good seeing you, man. You know, I love when you was in this building. Just the toughness you brought from Eastern Kentucky. We from Youngstown, man. So, and then outside of football now, man, I've just really been following you, really doing well.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. If it wasn't for, being around guys like you that, instilled self-confidence in me, and to know that, no matter what anybody else is doing, just make sure you're maintaining yourself and, keeping on your track, you'll be all good. But, man, I appreciate you sitting down here with us. And speaking of Youngstown, man, we got a big game this weekend coming up against your hometown. Not only your hometown, we got Coach Stoops' hometown, Mike, we got Buff, we got, half of our coaching staff from Youngstown, man. C-Love in this building. I mean, you had a bunch of Youngstown products come through as players as well. What's it mean to you to be playing against your hometown this weekend?
Here's one part that people don't know. I played college basketball there. So I played college basketball my freshman and sophomore year. I was committed to Ohio State for basketball. Coach got fired, and Jim Clemens was recruiting me, who ended up coaching with the Bulls.
Right.
He got the head job, and I was at Youngstown my first 2 years. When Jim Clemens left to go to the Bulls, Nick Saban got in touch with my brother and was like, hey, is Vince still playing basketball? And he said, yeah. He said, needs to be playing football, though. And so Saban got the job at Toledo, transferred there. The rest was history. I stayed in football. But I'm always pulling for Youngstown, man. And as you know, they came after me for their job, was that 2 years ago? And just where we from, Kash, you've been around us. You've met guys, Lynn Bolt and all them type guys from Youngstown. It's a blue-collar town. I always tell people, it reminds me of Eastern Kentucky. We're very, very tough-minded people there that work hard. Me and Mark grew probably up 2 minutes from each other, and we both live in 3-bedroom homes with large families. Our dads were very hardcore fathers, and it's in the water there. You see a lot of guys that come from there, whether you're a coach, whether you're a congressman, whether anything you do, you're going to be successful coming from there because just what's been instilled in us.
Right, just having that grit mentality growing up and, applying it out to the real world wherever you can. Yeah. But, man, talking about Youngstown, there's been so many, like you said, coaches, congressmen, different players and all that come from there. one guy that comes to my mind is Maurice Claret. Did I say his name right?
Claret, yeah.
Claret, okay. I just didn't know if I had it right there. But, and one of his stories, and, the story, I actually remember him coming to the team and telling his story and just talking about, the grit that he had coming from Youngstown. And so, you could definitely see the similarities, from East Kentucky, Steel Town, like Youngstown, and going back in East Kentucky with coal miners and things like that. So the blue collarness is definitely there. And I think that's what you've brought or helped bring to the University of Kentucky in this football program, because you've seen the change since Coach Stoops got here when I came on campus, and then you've seen the culture change through that. What has been mainly the biggest change that you've seen with this program over your tenure here?
Man, first of all, you got to give a lot of credit to Dr. Capilouto, Mitch, Mark Hill. Like, a lot of these schools cut these coaches fast, and they don't let you get your program. But I think they seen when we started going into Ohio and keeping Kentucky talent here, that they seen where it could go. The culture, it has to be the toughness of the culture. One thing, even when we weren't good, we were going 5-7, we were considered a tough team. And then by the time we got to your class, 2016, Mike Everson would get mad at me, but I really believe that was the class. I believe you went to a bowl game every year you were here.
I did.
And we had to establish ourselves as a tough team. Kentucky, people should look at Kentucky on schedule and they like, okay, this is going to be a win. It started being, once we got 15, 16, okay, they're going to be a scrappy team. But by the time we got to 16 and 17, they was like, man, we don't want to play these dudes. Like, the national media didn't really notice it, but the coaches in this conference knew it. Mm-hmm. And I think Kirby, people talk about, Georgia. Kirby said at the SEC 2 years in a row that his toughest game was Kentucky. His guys, when we played Bama, the guy who was the third pick went to the, what they call the Commanders now. Mm-hmm. They actually said, well, you're going to be surprised, but we're not surprised. Our toughest team that we played was Kentucky. So I think with Mark being who he is, me and him being from the same place, we couldn't have a soft team. And Kash, that when you came in here in 16, I think you start seeing that even when he was recruiting you, because you was, to get highly recruited guys, you had to have some kind of direction that you had to see, that parents had to see, that these guys aren't projecting this way. And I just think if it's one thing to answer, it'd probably be toughness. Just a blue-collar, hardcore, tough team. Yeah, we people talk about Florida. They surprised that we beat them, and they didn't beat them with gadgets. Like, we just lined up, got a 12, 13 personnel, and just,
Yeah, that was, watching that game, watched part of it with him and a lot of other friends, and the consensus was everybody, there was an article that came out afterwards that Kentucky shocks number 12 Florida or something. That's not a shock. Y'all beat them. It wasn't a squeak by, beat them every play in, play out. And going back to your comment about the culture here, I was on the basketball team, under Cal when Stoops was being recruited. You guys were coming in, you'd come into practice.
Yes.
And I remember part of Kentucky's recruitment process to get you all here.
Yes.
And how cool that was, and what your message was to this university about how you planned on changing that culture. And, to be blessed to watch that transition over the years. And Kash made the comment to me the other day, that's part of what drove a lot of these guys coming here. They, you wanted to be part of that change.
Right.
And you could see it in the way they played, the way they approached it. One thing that I saw change over the years, I've been a football, QK football fan forever. And it started to those reins started to be kind of passed along to those leaders on the field.
Right.
And they became an extension of you all.
Right.
And when you start to see that happen, it's really cool what the program becomes.
It's funny you say that, man. And I got to get basketball, because I remember when I saw with Yoda. Mm-hmm. Dude, we took you over. Our first couple years, Cal really, and that staff really helped us. I used to take recruits to basketball games, and just the atmosphere, how the Big Blue Nation was. Mm-hmm. We go to Cal's office. I come to y'all practices, and I say this and I say it again. Cal helped us big time early starting out. I'm gonna be honest with you. Probably a lot of the 4 stars I got were guys going to see Cal. Their parents wanted to go over there, it's like going to see The Godfather or something. And so, to me, I think, when you look at the whole big picture of things, I'm just getting tired of people, and Kash, I know you can relate to this. It ain't a shock to us. I can guarantee you, to Kash, he never looked at it as like it was an upset.
No.
And I can't say on record what probably Kash was saying.
No, hell no, you can't.
But dude, I want our fans. I think you got 70% who just believe they gonna win, but you still got that 30 man, are they gonna do it? Yeah. Can they do it? And then when we do it, so I think Mark, the one thing I say about Mark, he has really accomplished making this fun for football people.
I think one of the cool moments, I'll give you this and I'll toss it back to Kash, but there was I guess it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. The culture used to be, even for the first couple of years you all were here, everybody was, waiting on Big Blue Madness for basketball season, right? And I know that put a chip on these guys' shoulders too. They want to be the big dogs too, right? So I remember 4 or 5 years ago being at a football game and, people being like, what are all these tents for? And forgot that basketball is even coming up because we're winning now. And now it's it's back of mind, right? It's football season until after Christmas.
Yes.
And I remember that being kind of the shift in my mind where I realized the Big Blue Nation was really behind this program and what y'all are doing. Mm-hmm. And, it used to be the games get cold and people peel out early. They're there now.
Yeah.
And I love that because that's something that you all put the work in and deserve the credit for. And now, it's a little bothersome that it took that long.
Yeah.
But now that it's been proven and you're consistently delivering, the fan base has gotten behind it, and not that they weren't before, but the fan base is not distracted by any of these hiccups that you suffer through a season. Every team goes through that stuff.
Yeah, but you gotta look, man, and Kash noticed one thing about Mark and me, like we all about the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
If you're losing, we don't expect the fans to come. You know,
but everybody stumbles.
Yes.
I'm saying now it's not now it is a stumble.
Yes.
Whereas before it was like, oh, here we go again.
But but what I'm saying, when we took over, when we took over, it was not that good.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like, you can't have a product out there and expect people to come and spend hard money when a lot of these people, I mean, you got people that got money in the state, but you got a lot of people who are just working people, and they spend that whole weekend maybe $200, $300, $400 to watch somebody get beat by 20 or 30.
Yeah.
Nah. So I know this. I remember our first 2018, we played Penn State, and I remember the pep rally. And what was going through my mind was, man, I really feel good. Like these people in Kentucky can celebrate. They can walk around. They ain't more the punch bag no more. They can celebrate with pride going to these bowl games. And that's where, and I know Mark feels the same way. So, I mean, you got to put some out there to make people want to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was just a thing to where, like, me being from Kentucky, being from the state, growing up in the Kentucky football culture my whole life, it was, people were hoping that we would go 6 and whatever. They were hoping that we would go to a bowl game, and now the culture shift is changing here where we expect to go out and win every single game. We expect to go to very highly talented bowl games, if not the college football playoff, which thankfully is expanded to 12 teams coming in 2024. So it'd be great to have a badass playoff game in a cold December day right here in Lexington. That's what I'm saying. That's what I told a lot of people is that like it would be close to the closest to an NFL experience that we could have here is to have a playoff game right here at Kroger Field. That'd be unbelievable. And I think that the cold, man, and that would bring it kind of like full circle, to see where we started out and to see where we are now. And man, it's just crazy to see the culture change not only from when I was here to when now. I mean, you got guys like Will Levis, who's a complete, utterly great leader. I love what he's doing. So many different guys. It almost reminds me of that 18 team where you got leaders in every single room to where if you wanted to, they could go out and run practice by themselves. So what do you attest this leadership to with these guys?
Well, you've been a part of the leadership thing with Jason Cummins, and, just teaching guys how to be leaders. But I also think the support staff, like man, you got like guys like Courtney Love, CJ Conrad, Drake Jackson. All these guys are GAs now who've been a part, like you said, the 18 team where, man, we had some dudes on that team. I think the difference between the 18 team, we probably have to run this after the season, but we have more depth at every position. I mean, I'm telling you, like, we have, Kash, he was playing banged up couple games. Now, Square can be banged up, and you can bring the second linebacker in. You can bring the third linebacker in. Square's a great player, but I'm saying you ain't gonna drop off that much. Tight end room, we got 4 or 5 dudes that can start. Running back room, receiver, we got more talent at receiver than I had since we've been here. You always had like a Lynn Bolton, who is fabulous, but you got a group of they ain't Lynn Bolton, but they are talented receivers. So I just think, man, when you look at the whole big picture, it don't surprise me where we at, but coming in here when we first took over, man, I used to have a couple of beers with your dad. And we would be sitting in Malone's talking, and it would be like, he's like, you guys are recruiting though. It's really gonna turn. And looking at it now, it makes you more appreciate where you at and the grind. See, the one thing I love about Mark and not taking a shot at basketball, he was right. We didn't come in here. We didn't start on no basis.
No.
We was in the dugout trying to get out of that and get hit. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
And I think this, man, people think I'm crazy saying this. Nobody could have did the job Stoops did here, because I don't know if anybody would have took that job where it is. A lot of coaches take jobs. They already got tradition, or they got good quarterbacks. And there's nothing against, I'm telling you, I'm not taking a shot at our former players. They really grinded and worked hard. But this is the SEC, and you have to stay in the upper echelon to win. And I don't think nobody could have did that, what he did.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, it's a process, right?
Yes.
You got to develop the culture. You're a relationship guy. You got to go build those relationships. You got to convince them this is a product worth putting your time, effort, and energy into to get you to where you want to be.
Right.
And, that involves consistency, not just, week to week, but year to year.
Can't be a one-shot one.
Exactly. And so you all stepped in and put in the groundwork, and now that you've got the foundation, you're enjoying the fruits of the labor.
And I'm just happy for the state. Like, I'm really am. It's not, and Stoops ain't the guy to take credit. It's like, I'm happy that our fans and the people in East Kentucky and Western Kentucky who had all that travesty, that they can go and walk around with pride and say, man, we a top 10 school. And walk around with pride and say, hey, we ain't beat Florida in 31 years, but now
3 out of 5, right?
3 out of 5, and it should be really 4 out of 5.
Yeah, it should be 4.
So,
and a couple before that too. Damn, man.
Yes.
Damn, man.
But I really feel good about that. That's what I feel good
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely. And you should. I mean, that's things very few people in the country have been able to do.
Well, man, looking back at it, I was looking through my Snapchat memories, came up on Saturday, and it came up, and I had this video, and it came out, and it said bleep the street on there.
Yeah.
So, and people would ask me all the time, it was like, man, what was that feeling going down there and winning that game? And I was like, man, it just felt different. Like we knew we was going to go down there and absolutely just come out victorious no matter what happened.
Talking about at Florida?
Yeah, talking about at Florida. What was the mentality heading down there this week? I know that the week before, and they give credit to the defense, the way they stepped up and helped out tremendously and hit up your tight ends room to where you have, like you said, multiple guys that you could put in at any time and part of the game and did not miss a beat. Yes. And so, what was the mentality throughout that game? Basically throughout the whole game.
I think the whole leading up the whole week where we were called soft. Like we don't need no motivation to go play Florida, but that just put a little sprinkle on top of it. But you don't realize we only had one penalty. We really won that game Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the crowd noise that we assimilate being at the spot. Yeah. But being down there, and Kash, you're going to remember this. Remember the fourth quarter where they had all their lighters up and they seen
Tom Petty
down?
Yep.
I had a moment, it was like I went back in time in 18. Me and Slarman was walking, changing the quarters, and we was walking out. And I remember Slarman said, we gonna beat these. And it was like he was standing like right next to me as I'm walking now. And I told, who was it? Oh, it had to be somebody that was already, it might have been Stoops. I told somebody, I said, man, this just a couple years ago, me and Slarman was doing the same walk, going to that end, starting in the fourth quarter, and we were up. And a lot of things go through your mind, but the main number one thing that went through my mind, pulling up in that stadium, you see the gator chop everywhere. But then you see people with signs, Big Blue Nation. Like, dude, they were down there.
Yeah.
And when we won, immediately, man, the people back in Kentucky, back at home, I know they feeling pretty good. And then we get on Twitter and start seeing, I'll encourage that, the burning the couch.
I was about to say, seeing cars flip, couches burned, all that stuff.
But it's a sense of pride.
Oh, yeah.
And like Mark said, we just getting started, bro. I really can't wait to see what's next going down the stretch for this team.
Well, man, I know we got a great stretch coming up. Starts with Youngstown State and then Northern Illinois next week. Then we head down to Oxford against Ole Miss, but obviously not looking forward ahead. Got to take it one game at a time. Yeah. And, we'll be out there this Saturday watching you boys take on the Penguins, man. It's going to be some fun year, man. We appreciate you sitting down with us, Coach. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but, man, always great to talk to you, a guy that, I want people to know this because, you were a big part of my life, man, and I appreciate you from every inch of me, more than you know. You instill confidence in me to have a confidence in myself no matter what happens. And I'll never forget, I have to tell this story. Every time I see somebody, I have to tell it, was when we were playing down in Jacksonville against Georgia Tech. And I was a special teams dude at that time. and we had a fumble on the play, and guys were in the pile just trying to get out and trying to get the ball, and I see one guy trying to go in and take a shot at somebody, and I came in and try to like hit him and get on top of the pile, see if I can get the ball too, and I got a piling on penalty or something like that call, and I get off the sideline, and Coach Stoops is ripping my ass, just killing me. That's 15 yards, this and that, and then Coach Marrow comes out of nowhere, he goes, "You ball the damn ball," like that right there, like that, and I was like, man, appreciate that, Coach. Appreciate that, man. But, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Brother. Much love. And good luck the rest of this season, man.
We really appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys.
So, again,
the man.
Big thank you to Big Dog himself, Vince Marrow, for sitting down with us and taking time out of his day. I know it's a busy day. Wednesdays are usually the third down short yardage package days, so I'm sure he had a lot of stuff to dial up. But, again, I didn't know at the fact that he played basketball for Youngstown. I knew he was a hooper growing up, and I just thought he went the football route out of high school. But he said he played it a year at Youngstown State, and then ended up playing in Toledo, and ended up playing for the Bills for a little bit in the league, and now he's one of the nation's best football recruiters that we've ever seen. So
it's a relationship business, man. Obviously his football knowledge is great, but I have no doubt he would have been just as good of a basketball recruiter. He's just
that kind of guy, man. He can like I said in the interview, he's got the gift of gab. He's also got the gift of jab too. If you mess with him, but that's a guy, like I said in the interview, man. When I first got there, Coach Marrow really instilled to have that self-confidence and be that dog that you can be out there on that field. And so without him, I probably don't have the career I do that I did. Mm-hmm. So big shout out to Coach Marrow. Thank you for sitting down with us. Another thank you to Susan Lax for setting that up for us. Hopefully we can get some players on here soon, and maybe Coach Stoops down the line. But that's the thing, guys. We want to sit here and we want to talk about sports. We want to talk about life, and it's not a straight up agenda. It's going to be a little bit of everything, and so we hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, we do have some NFL news. We got the first Thursday night game here tonight. That's going to be pretty lit. We got week 2 of the NFL Sunday coming up. I know that it's near chili season because it's starting to get down into the 50s. Did you say you make good chili?
Bro, yes.
Dude,
I eat soup every day all year long. Like, those that are really close to me know that.
So you're like the guy that would be like, okay, so I saw this video. This guy was out on the golf course, and they came around the turnaround to go to the backside 9. And usually guys get some crackers. Some beer.
He got soup.
He got tortilla soup at like 95 degrees.
Okay.
He's like, dude, how the fuck you eat
That's
soup?
a little bit extreme, especially eating it outside while in a golf cart. That would be interesting. But tortilla soup is one of my favorites. My mom's an incredible cook. I siphoned a lot of recipes off of her, but I'm a soup guy. Like I eat. Yeah, shout out Mama. I eat like a lot, right? And I don't work out as intensely or as long as I did in college. But I still like to eat, so like soup kind of became a supplement for me because it's not going to put a lot of weight on me, but
calorie deficit,
so I find like water based or broth based heavy soups that I can keep. I always have a pot of soup in the fridge. So to answer your question, yeah, you even came over for dinner the other night. I made soup.
I didn't have it though. I
know.
I had to leave.
Yeah, but I made. We had tacos and then I had the enchilada soup.
I fucked those tacos up.
You got to try the soup too.
I will.
It's good. But anyway, yes, I make good chili.
So we'll have some NFL Sundays
stuff.
in the basement watching those games. We might even we might go
do
live
one.
on. We might go live on something for NFL Sundays and kind of give our opinion on it. But a lot of
couple NFL guys over to watch the game or something.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of gunslinging action this weekend. Speaking of gunslingers, the gunslinger himself, Brett Favre. What's going on with that, man?
I don't know. My sister played at Southern Miss soccer. Obviously, this involved volleyball and his daughter. I don't even know what year.
So
he was
from
there.
The article that I got, she's no longer on the team, but they've had the facility for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Not a while, but I guess in recent years. And so, for people that don't know, Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre has recently been caught up in a scandal with former Texas governor. I can't remember exactly what his name is, for funneling Mississippi's welfare money to build a brand new facility or gym or whatever you want to call it for Southern Miss volleyball. And so don't know how much money is entailed. I think it's around $5 million, something like that. And it's a pretty bad situation. So I don't know if the gunslinger will be able to work himself out of this one. Maybe look and do some jail time. But here's the thing, though. Brett Favre goes to jail in Mississippi. Dude, he'll have his own cell. Like he'll be like Mike Vick in jail. Like he'll have a flat screen TV. Like everybody be like, "Hey, Favre."
I think he'd much prefer to stay on the farm in his Wranglers, but
here's the thing: dude, you're worth $181 million. Why are you funneling, welfare money for people that definitely need it the most?
I mean, same as we talked about to start this show. I'm not going to speak on something I don't understand or know.
I don't know either. I'm just asking.
My opinion seems pretty silly to put yourself in that predicament, but until we know the facts,
dude, it low key seems like he'd be a great politician.
I mean, in the fact that you get what you see, yeah. I would imagine so, but he probably is going to have a little difficult hurdle to hop over considering this.
You think they'll give him like Wranglers in prison?
No. I think they'll be orange.
You think they'll give him like a copper fit?
I don't think he's going to prison. I think that I don't know enough detail. I think we're going to have to see how it shakes out.
How about we just say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry about it. Here's $12 million.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it.
Just write a check.
But going back into college football, we got the Youngstown State Penguins coming up, and every time I say that name,
they're the Penguins.
Yeah, it makes me.
I didn't know they were the Penguins.
Yeah, dude, they're the Penguins. They're look.
Oh, I didn't know they were the Penguins. That's funny.
The Penguins, man. Hey, dude, Penguins are pretty.
Is their mascot a penguin? Is it a?
No, they're named the fucking Penguins.
No, I'm saying is it like a big? I
would imagine so. I hope so. Anyways, hope that motherfucker comes.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll take scratch in that battle any day.
I gotta see this guy.
But anyways, we'll get down to keys of victory real quick, and then we'll wrap it up because I got to go work out. Keys of victory for Kentucky: 1, we got to protect the ball. And I think that when you're facing an inferior opponent like this, you can't afford to put the ball on the ground or give it up through the air because that's the thing that gives inferior opponents like this confidence that they can stick around and hang around with you. I think you saw it last. Is that like the mascot though? Like look up the mascot. Like see if they have.
I did. This is what came up on the. Oh, yep. There we go.
Where's he at? Let me see him. Let's fucking go.
That's bananas.
Yes. Let's fucking go. I hope that guy shows up. But anyways, like I said, you can't give the ball up. If you look last year when we played Tennessee Chattanooga, that's really the only thing that kept them in that game. We had a couple interceptions. We lost the ball multiple times on the ground. And what's one thing I will say to Kentucky's credit, I think Will Levis has only had one interception so far throughout this season, and I don't think we've put the ball on the ground once. Knock on motherfucking wood. Because last year it seemed like we had a ball security problem. We actually finished last in the turnover margin in the SEC. So hopefully that turns around and keeps going.
We were last in turnovers?
No, turnover margin.
Oh, okay.
So that means like we gave up more turnovers than we got on defense.
Yeah.
So we finished like -11, I'm pretty sure. It was pretty bad.
So just for clarity's sake, we'll close out on this. The Youngstown State mascots' names, there's two of them. They're both Penguins, Pete and Penny.
Who we got scratching who?
The Wildcat.
The Wildcat?
Right?
So it's going to be a 2v2.
Isn't it Wildcat and Scratch?
So we're going to have a 2v2.
Do we not know the names of our? It's one of them's name's Wildcat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wildcat and Scratch.
I just like Scratch because he kind of reminds me of like Scooby-Doo's son, like Scrappy Doo.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
hopefully we can have like a tag team match in the parking lot.
Let's see. Maybe we
can facilitate.
I bet we can set that up.
I bet we could too.
Let's do it outside the RV lot.
No turnovers. Protect the ball. Run the football. We've got to efficiently run the football this week to be able to eat up clock. And we got to be able to put the ball in the end zone. Defense are going to come out and they've got to be able to read their keys. They got to be able to get guys on the ground. Really, this game is about not beating yourself because at the end of the day, no disrespect to Youngstown State, you're in the SEC for a reason. So you have to come out and you have to play like you're in the SEC. And like I said, we've had a trouble in years past of playing down to our competition. I don't know what it is, but I hope the guys are locked in. Coming off a win like that against Florida, I could see them kind of, saying, hey, I'm not saying let's take it easy. I'm saying like subconsciously they have to be ready to go at all times.
I made the mistake. I made the mistake of saying that this was kind of a like we had two gimmies at home after the Florida game. If we could get past that one, and it was with Kevin. I said, if we can get past Florida and get a win under our belt there, we got two pretty cupcake ones at home. And you corrected me real quick because it's going to mean so much to Youngstown. So
this is their Super Bowl, especially going against Coach Stoops and everybody like that. I mean, but at the same time, I'm sure Coach Stoops and, Coach Marrow have a chip on their shoulder. 'Cause I'm sure
absolutely.
they've got so many friends and family coming down for this,
Yep.
and they want to put on a good performance. And so,
I know better than to say that. And admittedly, I just overlooked it when I made that comment. But we're going to be out there bright and early Saturday morning. We're going to have some Country Boy beers, some RD1 bourbon, maybe some barbecue. You're going to do some deer steak tacos. I'll be in my Kentucky branded shirts that Joe hooked me up with this year. You may or may not have sleeves on. I guess we'll find out.
I mean, I might just not wear a fucking shirt. So we'll see.
It might be the last game that you might be comfortable with not wearing a shirt. And don't give me that, I don't get cold shit. Did you wear sleeves in the cold?
Fuck no, dude. You couldn't do that, especially if you're a defensive dude, bro. Especially you're out there playing linebacker. Like, that's the thing. Like, we'll end it on this. When in cold weather games like that, I always wanted to have a one-up, like, mentally on somebody.
Yeah.
So,
that's
so if I went out
mindset.
there and I'm wearing no sleeves, like, I remember,
damn,
we'd
he's
go
not
out there in warm-ups with, like, no shirts on and
Yeah.
shit. Just trying to look over across the field from us. So, we can stand this shit. What the fuck you going to do about it?
What city, not team, but what NFL city would you most like to be in if you'd have gone to the league?
Buffalo.
Why? Because of the cold?
Well, just because of their culture, the way that they're playing right now, playing with a quarterback like Josh Allen.
I just said don't worry about the team.
Oh,
City.
Bills Mafia.
Okay.
Bills Mafia. Put people through tables, bro. Come on now. They're
That is pretty
one of the
spot
most
on.
passionate fan bases, in all across the NFL. And you've heard Von Miller talk about it, multiple times from the short stint that he's been there, of how the people of Buffalo have treated him. And so, if I was able to go to the league and play with the team, it'd probably be Buffalo just because of those reasons. But we appreciate you guys listening in to the first episode of the newly
pieced together
off-season podcast.
Brandon's given us the rounded up but hey, all jokes aside, thank you all for taking this journey with us. We got a lot of things to figure out,
will get better, I promise you. We're going to learn it. This is like Todd told me multiple days ago that you go back and you look at the first episodes of the most successful shows that you have now and you're like, damn, that was horrible. So we'll get better. Everything else,
we got the right people around us. We got the right production. Got the right audio. We somewhat know what we're talking about. We got a good guest lineup. We'll piece it together. But thank you all for taking the journey with us. It's going to be fun. If you got suggestions for us for the show, if you want to come on, any of those things, holler at us. Let us know. We just want to have some fun with this, man. So sharing our perspective.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
All right, brother. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
My homie looking too big.